Good evening. The time is 6:30. It is Tuesday, December 14th, and I'd like to call this regularly scheduled Planning and Zoning Commission meeting to order. May I have a roll call, please?
Snyder,
Here.
McCall, Guerra,
Here.
James,
Here.
Chase.
Here.
Thank you. We have a quorum. Next, item 3, 3A, minutes. Planning and Zoning Commission meeting minutes from November 9th, 2021.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
I second this.
Thank you. We have a motion by Commissioner Chase, seconded by Commissioner James. Any discussion? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed. Motion passes. Next, item 4, citizen comments. We would like to invite any citizens to come and speak on any items. We do have public hearings on some items. If you'd like to speak on any other item, please feel free to come up now. We ask that you limit your time to 3 minutes, and I'm going to open citizen comments. Citizen comments is now open.
Good evening. Dex Ellison for the record, Kyle resident. Just wanted to come and on behalf of the City Council and by extension the city as well, thank you for your service this year on planning and zoning. It's been a tough year for you all, but it should always be acknowledged the service and the volunteer time that you all give. And so I just want to wish you all a happy holidays and Merry Christmas. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to speak during citizen comments? Okay, seeing none, I will close citizen comments. Citizen comments is now closed. Item number 5, public hearing. 5A, the Planning and Zoning Commission of the City of Kyle, Texas will hold 2 public hearings for the purpose of receiving testimony, comments, and written evidence from the public regarding a comprehensive plan amendment to amend approximately 535 acres of land from Farm District to East FM 150 Employment District and 42 acres of land to the regional node for certain parcels located northwest of the intersection of SH 21 and EFM 150, City of Kyle. Anything we need to say before we open the, okay, thank you. Yep. Absolutely. If there's no objections, I'll open the public hearing. The public hearing is now open. Would anyone like to speak at this public hearing? Okay, seeing none, we will close the public hearing. Item number 6, consent agenda. We have items A through H.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to pull item G and add it to make it item 7D.
Okay. If there's no objections, we will pull item G and move it okay, do we have a motion for the other items A through F and H?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve items A through F and item H.
Second.
Thank you. It has been motioned by Commissioner Chase, seconded by Commissioner James to approve consent agenda items A through F and H. Is there any discussion on the motion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. All opposed. Motion passes. Next, item 7A. Consider impossible action. Consider a request to construct approximately 4,416 square foot Denny's freestanding restaurant and site plan for property located at 19020 IH35 within the I-35 overlay district. Denny's Restaurant-CUP-21-0031. Mr. Atkinson.
All right, before you we have the first of 3 conditional use permits tonight. Will Atkinson for the record, Senior Planner for the City of Kyle. As you can see on the screen, it may be actually kind of small, but this is the the Dry River District, as it's now being referred to by the Endeavor project, and the block there in red is the location of the Denny's. It's two lots north of where the Starbucks is, and a few south of where the Aspen Dental is. If you're driving down 35, you can see that. Bear with me just a moment. So, for the most part, this project meets the requirements of the I-35 overlay. The Planning and Zoning Commission, and y'all do have the authority to approve variations to it. They did try, but the design does actually improve on what our minimum requirements are. Namely, they didn't use CMU, so that's kind of nice in my personal opinion. So, but they did do a little bit more than the minimum on the stucco. The 10% rule is not, it's a rule of thumb. It's not actually built into the code, but it does say detail applications only. But overall, if you include the stucco, it's more than 90%. And they have a mix of wood, rock, stucco, and steel for the project. Let me see if I can find the. Let me pull up the renderings here, just so the public can see them as well. Bear with me just a moment. All right, so this is the west elevation. And then going down, you got the east elevation right there. And then here is that's also the west and the east. I pulled up the wrong one. Anyway, they're very close on both the east and the west and the south and the north. It's a decent looking restaurant. Staff has no problems with it. We ask that y'all approve the conditional use permit for this. Do y'all have any questions for me?
Is there any questions for staff? Commissioner Saida?
And I'm just curious, is Denny's a individually owned franchise, or is it a corporate chain with managers? Do you know?
I don't actually know that question. I don't know.
Anyway, then
Yeah.
it would fall into what I'd like to see, as far as individually owned. But I think the Denny's being on the I-35 for weary travelers is actually going to be a draw and will add to our retail sales. And I find the drive-through intriguing. I have never seen a Denny's with a drive-through. I thought, I might even use that at some strange time. So, looks like a good project, is what I'm saying.
Cool.
Thank you. Are there any other questions for staff?
Oh, I also want to add, I love the landscaping.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, it is, because it's filled with a lot of like lantana and things with a lot of pollinator, so that's going to be great too. It's a nice project. Well done.
Oh, thank you. Well, the
Okay.
applicant mostly.
Thank you. If there's no other questions, can I have a motion, please?
With a motion, I move to approve item 7A as written.
Yes, sir.
Second.
Thank you. It has been moved by Commissioner James, seconded by Commissioner Chase. Is there any discussion on the motion? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Next, item 7B. Consider request to construct an approximately 4,500 square foot freestanding restaurant and site plan for property located at 18920 IH35 within the I-35 overlay district, Z Tejas CUP-21-0038. Mr. Atkinson.
Thank you. Will Atkinson for the record once again. As previously stated, this is a 4,500 square foot, approximately square foot freestanding Z Tejas restaurant and site plan. Again, this is approval of the renderings and elevations, but it's a building that consists of both indoor and outdoor service, materials consisting of a mix of smooth stucco, natural corrugated metal panels, and board form concrete. Architecturally, it's a very interesting building. Once again, it doesn't quite meet what the code for the I-35 overlay does. However, from an intent standpoint, it goes above and beyond without question. This is just south of where the Aspen Dental is on the first main entrance as you're coming in there off of the Endeavor project. Staff does believe it meets the intent of the I-35 overlay, and we do ask that y'all approve it. But let me pull up the renderings real quick, or the elevations. All right. So here's the front elevation. This is what you're going to see from I-35 as you're driving down. It has a, I'm going to call it a fin, but it looks really nice. Here is the left side elevation. This one is a little bit bare, but it has mostly masonry if you include the stucco. This is the side that faces south. And then this is the right side elevation. It faces north and has the outdoor patio and what have you. And then here's the rear elevation, and there's supposed to be a future pedestrian bridge crossing that the creekway to where you can walk over to it, and you're walking up right by the patio to get into the building and what have you. So it's designed very nicely, and staff has no problem supporting it, and we recommend that y'all offer your full support in the vote.
Thank you. Are there any questions for staff? If there are no questions, can I have a motion, please?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Commissioner Chase.
I'd like to make a motion to approve item 7B as presented.
Second.
Okay, thank you. It has been moved by Commissioner Chase, seconded by Commissioner James. Is there any discussion on the motion? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Motion passes. Item 7C. Consider a request to construct 2 single-story, multi-tenant retail buildings. Each building will be approximately 7,200 square feet, located south of FM 1626 and west of Marketplace Avenue within the FM 1626 Overlay District, Kyle Marketplace, Section 2, Block A, Lot 2, CUP-21-0039. Mr. Atkinson.
All right. Thank you. Will Atkinson for the record. As stated, this is going to be 2 single-story multi-tenant retail buildings, each approximately 7,200 square feet, give or take. Both are going to have indoor and drive-through service, a mix of stucco, dark-colored brick, and composite wood siding. As you can probably see on the screen there, this is the first of 2 buildings that's going to be, if you're facing Target, it's going to be to your right across Marketplace in that field between the railroad tracks south of the bridge of 1626 and just right in there. It's going to, in some of the renderings you'll see there's Chipotle, there's also Black Rock Coffee, so they already have some LOIs and signed some leases for them. And this site will be under construction this coming year to get to that point. An interesting fact about the FM 1626 overlay, it was created, but there are actually no standards built into it. So, by default, these designs and these renderings are compliant, and they also exceed the retail services zoning district requirements built into the code. So staff has no problem from a code perspective recommending approval, and it also goes above and beyond just generally from the intent of wanting better buildings in Kyle. And give me 1 second, I'll pull up those renderings. Or the elevations, if you will. All right. So and just for y'all's, so y'all are aware, the signage on there, that's just a placeholder signage. We've worked with the architecture firm before, and that's what they've told us. So the front elevation is going to be facing 1626. This is the left elevation over here with the drive-through window and what have you. And you can see the renderings right there of that as well. And there's additional ones too, but they're very nice. Do y'all have any questions for me?
Any questions for staff?
I have a question.
Please.
Is this the area that we talked about before, that where we were talking about the mixed use area?
There is, we got to be careful about what we talk about based on the agenda.
Yeah.
But generally, to the south of there and adjacent, there's going to be proposed to be some vertical mixed use. I think city council has to approve an agreement though first.
Okay. Because that would be a really nice area. For
Oh, I agree.
Okay, I also have a question. I apologize if this is something that I should know, but since it does meet, the requirements, what I just want to make sure I know what I'm voting on. Why is this under consider and possible action and not under consent? Just I want to know what the difference is.
That's a good question. That's never been asked before. Generally, but I want to say generally the conditional use process it falls under consider and possible action generally.
Okay.
Mostly because most of what we see from a commercial perspective is along the I-35 overlay, and there's actual standards built into it. The other overlays that we have, I don't know the history behind it. They extend back to with the creation with the I-35 overlay, but for whatever reason, the I-35 overlay is the only one that ever had anything filled in from the design standpoints. And now, because of the House bill that passed back in 2018, any amendments to update that, we have to be extremely careful that we're not violating state law. So the I-35 overlay is vested at an older standard because it existed before that.
Right.
So, so it's a complicated answer, but I don't know if I cleared it up at all.
Okay. No, that's fine. Okay. Any other questions? All right. Can I have a motion, please?
With a motion,
Yes.
I move to approve item 7C is written.
Thank you. I have a motion. Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Thank you. It's been moved by Commissioner James, seconded by Commissioner Chase. Is there any discussion on this motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed. Motion passes. Okay. Next, I'm going to pull back the consent agenda item we pulled earlier, item 6G. Can I have a motion for item 6G?
Do we just make a motion?
Well, if you have questions for staff on this item, you definitely can ask them. But if you don't, then I think a motion would be the next step.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we approve item 7, is it 6G now, or now
I'm sorry.
7D?
You're right. The motion that, or the item that used to be 6G is now 7D.
Okay.
Thank
I make
you.
a motion that we approve item 7D.
Okay, it has been moved that we approve Calterra Edition Lot 6-8 Final Plat Sub -21 -0217, 8,994 acres, 3 lots located on the southwest corner of Kohler's Crossing and IH-35. Oh, I'm sorry, you are right. Okay, sorry, Calterra Edition Lot 6-8 Final Plat Sub -21 -0217, 8.994 acres, 3 lots located on southwest corner of Kohler's Crossing and IH-35. Has there been a motion? Can I have a second, please?
I'll second.
Thank you. It has been moved by Commissioner Snyder, seconded by Commissioner McCall. Any discussion on the motion? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. All right. Thank you all for that. Next, item 8, general discussion. 8A, discussion only regarding Planning and Zoning Commission request for future agenda items. Does anyone have any items they would like to see on future agendas?
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Commissioner Chase.
So at the last meeting, we discussed chair and vice chair nominations and votes, and I made the recommendation that we hold off until this meeting, until we had more clarification as to the number of applicants and if we think we're going to get those applicants in and new commissioners seated anytime soon. So just wanted to get an update on that, and then we can make a decision moving forward.
So administration above us asked us to hold off on contacting the current applicants, and they want to do another social media blast. So we've already done that. We want to try to get more people interested in it as well. And so at this point, it's still the same as it was last time. Now, we did try internally to not make that happen. We actually wanted to get people in on the dais, but it is what it is. So, and I understand that it makes it difficult from a quorum standpoint with only 5 of y'all in here. Thank you, Megan, for arriving. And that's something we do want to generally avoid, is not having quorum. So, but we're working on it. We're trying. So, sometime next year, early next year. That's where we're at.
Thanks, Will. If the commission will entertain it, I'm okay with moving forward at the next meeting with selecting a chair and vice chair. If everybody agrees to have staff put that on the agenda.
Yes, I agree as well.
I would say so as well.
Okay, I think we have. Are there any other items we'd like to see on future agenda items? Okay.
I have a question about the design overlay that you were talking about that doesn't exist in that area. Do we need to, was there something why that doesn't exist? Could you clarify that?
So the FM 1626 overlay does exist.
Right.
But there's actually no design requirements built into it that exceed those that are of the retail services zoning district.
So they do exist, they're just at the retail service.
Right.
Okay.
So those design requirements for those buildings, or the design of those buildings,
Right.
exceeds what the retail services zoning district in like section 53, 480 something.
The
offhand,
new
I don't remember.
proposed ones do.
Yes,
Right,
they
okay.
exceed it easily because they're not very restrictive or they're not hard to beat, we'll say, in the standard zoning. So again, I don't pretend to know the history behind it. I think at one point it was the intent of the City of Kyle Planning Department when they were created to one by one go through and fill those with certain design standards. I want to say the Planning and Zoning Commission to some extent was part of that discussion. There might have been some committees as well at that time. But other than that, I don't actually have any knowledge of why it just never happened. I don't know.
Is that something that could happen?
That's why I brought up that House bill from
Right.
2018 because it's kind of a great. It's a legal question.
Okay.
So whatever we do, we got to make sure that it's not violating state law because state law overrode a lot of materials and design requirements that a lot of cities had, and so or preempted it. But there's an exception in there for areas of architectural significance that were in existence prior to creation of the state law. And it helps that we had a lot of detail, or we do have a lot of detail for the I-35 overlay. That's very clear what we can do in there when it comes to, and what we can require. When it comes to all the other overlays that we have, it's a shell. We created it, but for whatever reason, and they never made it past that point. So in between staffing levels and just generally in how busy we are over the last several years, it hasn't been a priority for staff to bring that forward and try to get that filled. Because I'm knowing what I know, just been working here for 5.5 years, figuring out how to make each of those overlays unique to all the other ones from an architectural standpoint. I know I'm personally not up to that task, and it would take a lot of input. It's not impossible, and it's worth doing, but it would be a lot to do. So we got to ask legal first. How can we
Right.
upgrade those, if you will?
Okay.
So, does that make sense? Okay.
There was some discussion prior, like several meetings before, where one of the commissioners asked if the overlays could be expanded. And you said you weren't sure, you were going to check on that maybe, but it might have.
I have not.
It's fine, it's fine.
Yeah.
But it's something we might want to look at
Okay.
as I-35, as we, as we
Okay.
spread out.
I'll make a note of it.
Thank you.
Yeah, yes, ma'am.
Speaking of which, any change yet to the Rebel overlay?
No.
Okay.
There's been it needs to happen.
Okay, that's fine.
We do need to change the name. It'll take a public hearing, just like any zoning kind of deal, because it's in the zoning code, just to change the name. And it seems like it'd be a very straightforward change, but we've honestly had other priorities. So
Right.
I'll bring it up though to my new boss that we have, our assistant city manager, Amber Lewis.
Yes, sir. Any other items? Okay. Item number 9, staff report. Staff report by William Atkinson, City Planner.
My biggest thing was the update on the getting a couple more P&Z commissioners. That was really all I had. This is the end of the year. We appreciate everything y'all done. As Councilmember Ellison also mentioned, it's been super busy. Y'all been great. We've got a whole new year ahead of us, and so with there's going to be a lot of stuff coming down the pipeline soon. Working internally to figure out how to legally codify the Vibe trail system and all the nodal type developments related to it. There's going to be several annexations that are already in the works. You don't necessarily see the annexation side of things because it goes straight to council, but the zoning following that, and just kind of, you don't necessarily all know all the details, but they are coming down the pipeline within the next couple months. So there's a lot of big stuff coming. So.
Also, so I know we have the new assistant city manager.
Yep.
Is the next step I'm sorry, is it planning director or is that in process?
Yes, it is. So Amber Lewis is our new assistant city manager. She's over development services generally. So that's planning, public works, engineering, and building. And then, so we're looking, I think there's been a few applicants for, well, there's been several applicants for planning director, but they're narrowing it down for people they want to look at and interview. And then after that, we're going to be focusing, or maybe at the same time, but probably after, we're going to be looking to open up the applications for an entry-level planner as well.
Okay.
Right now, I'm doing the role of 3 positions, and
Right.
I need some workload off of me. And the entry level, they'll be able to start learning what I started learning 5.5 years ago. Maybe they'll start doing zoning review on some like the residential permits, some of the easier stuff, and then but that's where we're at on that too.
Yes, sir.
So
Okay, thank you. Item number 10, adjournment.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Thank you. There's a motion. Can I have a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
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 All opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.